Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. That sounded so unenthusiastic. Okay, anyways, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics of all time, evolution. Did you know that? I love evolution.
I did not know that.
Really?
Fun fact about Yellow Girl.
Yellow girl. Yeah, so I learned some cool stuff and I thought I would share it because I just have a passion for evolution. So yeah, as we already know, as we just went over. Okay, anyways. So um my dad also loves evolution, which is where I'm getting this information from, but he's famous for having very credible sources. So like NASA,
Yes.
National
Known
Geography.
across the world.
Exactly. He only reads he finds information from scientific journals. He won't go to, actually he'll go to
Google.
Wikipedia. Anyways,
Just kidding.
so he
Google
was
is
reading
bad.
this study that this group of scientists did. I think it was in Australia, but you know how wolves are, like dogs evolved from wolves? I mean, obviously, as anyone could tell. Um, Fun fact, do you know which country was the first to domesticize dogs?
Is it China?
It is.
Wow.
Wow. China do be responsible for a lot of cool stuff.
It comes.
Yeah,
Just
Asian
kidding.
pride.
I mean, paper. Paper is fantastic.
I know. Gunpowder, not so much, but
Fireworks, though.
fireworks, yeah.
The movable printing
Mhm.
press. Yes.
Yeah, and dogs. So honestly, and tea, right? Did we
Um,
did they come up with tea? I don't know about that.
sure.
Anyways, so um what they found, okay, I'll talk about both sides. So when wolves are being evolved to dogs, it doesn't take that many generations actually to make a dog out of a wolf, you know, which is kind of cool. Like after a couple of generations, like the wolves become visibly more um docile,
But how? Like,
just because, like, I guess it's just the natural selection is so strong. So they would, the dogs that were nicer and just looked cuter, right? They obviously the humans would want to go and feed them and blah blah blah, and then those dogs would survive and reproduce. I mean, those wolves would survive to reproduce, and then they would quickly just become dogs. Like it was a really fast
hmm.
um evolution. It's cool.
So just like be cute and
Yeah.
act nice. Sounds
Basically.
familiar.
I know. Girls? Yeah.
Wait, oh, so like, hmm, that, wow, that's very interesting. And then there's just so many dog types too.
Right? So then they have so many dog types now. So anyways, they did this experiment in Australia where they decided to backwards evolve. Is that a word? I don't know, not back, but they want to turn dogs into wolves.
Maybe
And
Devolve?
yeah, devolve. That's a good word.
That sounds like a cool brand name.
I
Like,
know, right?
oh
Except
my
isn't there a
gosh.
brand name called Revolve?
Well, it'd be the opposite of Revolve.
True.
Anyways,
Future brand name for Asian other yellow girl?
oh,
Anyways,
thank you, Yellow Girl.
no problem, yellow girl.
Okay.
Okay, so they took like a bunch of dog breeds, German shepherds, huskies, you've got um one of our non-yellow girls friends dogs, Keiko's, which is a very, what kind of dog is Keiko's?
Um, I'm not very well
Well
versed
versed in
in.
it. Me neither.
Yeah,
Neither of us have pets. But anyways,
brother.
like those smaller dogs, Chihuahuas, and they try to turn them back into wolves. And the German Shepherds and the Huskies, it didn't take long. They fit in, they're able to survive. But the Chihuahuas have just been so far evolved from their original ancestors that they all died. So,
They all died?
like, they didn't survive.
Survive what?
They wait, say that again.
What did they not survive?
Like, they didn't survive the wild. They didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were put in the wild.
Yeah, which is why it was so hard to do the experiment because it's really hard to track them and stuff. But it was
So,
it's really interesting how you can evolve one way, I guess, but you can't necessarily go back the other way.
but you
Like
can for some.
you can for some, but you think like Chihuahuas were able to come from wolves as well. But I mean, it's not that groundbreaking because, I guess technically we came from bacteria, but we can't go back to being bacteria, can we? I mean, could we? Like, let's just say the world just completely ends. Could the humans somehow devolve themselves back into bacteria?
How would that work? Would like,
I have no idea.
but like, how would not having a brain be more like have?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So there would be no need to
I think
go back.
it depends on like the situation, I guess. Like
Yeah,
dogs are special because we
they were
humans be
decided to do it.
yeah. But
Yeah.
also, does that mean like stray dogs can eventually become wolves if
I
they're
mm,
put in the wild long enough?
I get okay, I guess like dogs in the city would not be able. Well, it depends on which dog breed, I guess. Because if you put like if you put a dog that can run and hunt, I guess, in back in the wild, I think it should be fine.
And will it look like the same as a wolf? Like,
Um, not yeah, probably. Like it's children and what is the opposite of descendants? Its descendants will look like a wolf.
so like it'd be indistinguishable.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
They haven't tracked it. The experiment was pretty recent. So they haven't tracked it as far because evolution takes a long time, but probably, yeah. But it also was a reminder that evolution is such a cutthroat thing, like those poor dogs that just died. Keikos would probably die in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Anyways, I have more because I love evolution. My dad always tells me about more
Please
evolution.
continue. This is very intriguing.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, at NASA, they were trying to build a space robot arm. I don't forget for what reason, but just NASA things, just
As they
building,
do, of course.
of course, right? So they've been building it and they just could not get the right shape. Oh, I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to build like an arm that acts as like human arms, right? Or is like super flexible, like just as versatile as human arms, maybe even a little more. But they just couldn't get the design right because I don't know, kind of hard to get such a perfect arm. So they were like, you know what we're gonna do? We're going to use evolution to make an arm.
Wow.
And they applied it to artificial intelligence. They were like evolving artificial intelligence to create an arm. So they told the computer like you need to so they gave the computer an objective and then they were just like you need to keep doing it until you get the right arm, if that makes sense. Like when
Yeah, machine learning.
yeah, machine learning, like when they program a computer to learn chess, like some similar stuff. So then so they let the computer evolve the arm and like it successfully created an arm, but it turned out it was like a really weird shape. I don't have the picture because my dad can't find the article, but it was this like really weird looking arm, but it worked. And I just thought it was so cool
What do
how
you mean by weird looking? Like
it
it
was
was a
just like
blob or
I I think the blob. I just think it was just very unexpected from what they were doing. Like it really strayed away. Like I just think they wouldn't be able to think of it if they didn't have that. They didn't use that method, I guess. That's what they meant by strange.
Oh, but it could still perform the same task.
Yeah, it was the most efficient arm. And
So
it
more
just,
efficient than our arm.
yeah, probably. Because it has to work in space. But it's crazy how evolution works for artificial intelligence too. It just works for everything.
Maybe we need to redefine evolution rather than just like.
Yeah. Or like, well, okay, let's define evolution. It's like the it's
Let me look it
the
up. Let's get the dictionary definition, how they do in all those essays.
yeah.
Evolution definition. The process by which kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth.
Very
So,
nice.
thank you. Um, Interesting. I noticed how it said living organisms,
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say,
and
do
maybe
you
that's
like
like the scientific term. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
oh no, I was just gonna say, would artificial intelligence ever be considered living?
Well, we have to define living.
Yeah, what is living? I think the living is the ability to reproduce, right?
Isn't there the 6 traits? You have to like grow and then you have to
Oh, I totally
like
forgot about that.
reproduce and then
Yeah, you're right.
shoot, I just took a test on this.
Wait, really? For which class?
Anatomy.
Oh, I don't remember learning that. So sad.
Wait,
Probably just forgot.
let me look it up so we can 6 traits of life. Um there's only 6 traits of life-changing teachers that popped up. Found it. Okay. To be classified as a living thing, an object must have all 6 of the following characteristics. It must respond to the environment, it grows and develops, produces offspring, maintains homeostasis, has complex chemistry, and consists of cells.
Wow. So I guess artificial intelligence creatures would not be considered alive.
I
I
mean, not
guess.
the
Yeah.
anatomical, you know what I mean, in the
Anatomical.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anatomical definition, but I feel like life is used in a lot of different ways with different connotations.
Mm-hmm.
So we can define life how we want.
Exactly. I guess I mean more like the process of evolution, you know, how it takes them it doesn't take like it's not a living entity. I don't know how to describe that's just the amazingness of evolution. It's a process that just always works because it has to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Like if it doesn't work, then like it can't not work.
Yeah, it can't not work. Which again is so interesting. It makes me kind of believe like I don't believe in, a higher power. I really don't know what I believe in, you know? You know my strange fascination with religion. I don't really know what I believe in.
Yes.
It just makes me think,
Deism.
yeah, it just makes me think like some if there this ever I don't really know why like a lot of religious people don't want to believe in evolution because if you think about it, it actually is, in my opinion, such a big indicator of is this too controversial? Okay, whatever.
It's
such a
okay. Freedom of speech.
such a big indicator of how there could be a god because if I was a god I'd be like I don't want to make a human and I don't want to make a bacteria. Like why don't I just make one creature, give it a process evolution, and it'll create millions of different types of creatures. Like, you know what I'm
That
saying?
I see what you mean, and that'd be a very smart God. I feel
That's true.
like if you were God, that's what you would do. But like, isn't God supposed to be? Wouldn't like they have a more humane way of doing it?
That's true. That's true.
And
But see, I don't view God as a kindred spirit. So maybe that's just me, you know? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. But like you were saying, evolution just can't not work. And it kind of blows my mind. I don't know why.
But evolution is like the definition of evolution, like it working is what is evolution, you
Yeah.
know? Like that's why it can't not work because it like that's the definition of evolution. If like creating the new species or creating the kind of like evolving,
Yeah.
like that is evolution. And
Hmm.
when you don't evolve, it just doesn't happen. So it always
Hmm.
has to work.
Hmm. Yeah. And I guess we don't see, like, we think, oh, evolution, we got here, but we don't see all the creatures and organisms that died. Like you said, it's a very inhumane process. Very sad. All those tadpoles that didn't make it.
But also like if you were never born, you would have never like realized you weren't born.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
I,
mean? Like, mm,
I I see what you're trying to say. I see what you're saying. Like, it's kind of hard to put into words.
yeah, just like it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Did you
And
have
that,
other examples?
no, that's all I have for my evolution talk. I'm trying to think. No, yeah, that's all I have.
That's very interesting though, how you talked about like how you'd classify both of these as evolution while someone would call it just like machine learning
Mm-hmm.
and the other one like
Mm-hmm.
you know, like de-evolution, devolution.
Yeah, I guess they all fall under that evolution category for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same concept, I guess, just applied to different,
Mm-hmm.
not organisms, different.
I know, different. It just makes me think in the future they're going to use this method and they can create such interesting things from this method.
Yeah. Okay, what if there's a simulation where they start, like, what if humans create a simulation where they started off with one single cell living organism and then they, like, just tracked how it went. And they ended up creating another species who then created their own simulation. And then that's us. And it's just
Maybe
like,
we're in this,
yeah, that's exactly, you
right? And
know?
then they'll make their own simulation.
Yeah, or
No,
just
okay,
like,
no, sorry, go.
oh, I was just gonna say, it's just like seeing the different possibilities and how everything plays out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, when we reach that point, have we talked about this when we download ourselves into a computer, we just give up our carbon bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, we'd have pretty much reached the pinnacle of our existence as a human species, right? Because we can do whatever we want in the computer world and blah blah blah, and we'll get bored because we don't have to eat to survive. We aren't gonna die. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever you want. So then at that point, we're like, what if we're so bored? Let's make a simulation, and then they create a new set of species, and that's us, and then we're gonna reach that pinnacle of existence, and then we're gonna make our own simulations. This is really what similar to what you were
Maybe,
talking about.
yeah, maybe this has happened many times before. And do you know the multiverse theory?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that theory.
So we should just talk about it for our viewers, of course, I mean listeners. So the multiverse theory is basically like the parallel worlds. You've probably seen it in like so many movies, but it's like you could go to the store and meet the love of your life, or you could have stayed at home and watched
Mm-hmm.
another Netflix series. Like in another world, that could have played out. Like you could have met the love of your life, and like how each of these kind of choices you make, and how there's like millions and infinite amount of choices. Each of those choices lead to another life, and then that
Mm-hmm.
one has choices, and it just keeps going infinitely, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like never ends.
There's is like a multiple infinite universes, and each decision you make is like a branch into a new universe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Spider-Man is the most common pop culture reference to it, I think. But
Definitely. Or Johnny Test.
yeah, I didn't really watch that. But yeah.
Yeah, but like maybe evolution is just like taking the multiverse theory and kind of I mm, I don't know how to say this, but like
Maybe like we're just seeing the successful products of like with each branch, like in another universe dogs wouldn't exist because didn't work out, but we're in the universe where we're on the pathway in that in the universes where the evolution did work out over the generations and we do have dogs. Is that what you're trying to say? I think.
yeah, yeah. Or something else, not about evolution, but like sometimes I think about, oh, what if like Steve Jobs was never born? Or like
Mm-hmm.
what if he just like his mom just like never met his dad or whatever? Then we would never have Steve Jobs and like one of the people like such an influential figure who created like, you know, smartphones, iPhone of course, and it's just like that
Mm-hmm.
could have easily happened. But maybe and it's like imagine that our world without the iPhone.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
but now
Maybe in
maybe
another universe there was a different kind of iPhone.
yeah, or it
Yeah.
would have came along later, but what if there's something that is supposed to be here, something that would have like pushed us into the forward, into the
Mm-hmm.
future so much, but they were never born, or something just happened and they never like
I see what
followed
you're
that
saying.
path. Like maybe that person would be the person who is like the difference between flying cars and what we have today, but now that's being pushed back into the future because that never happened.
Mm-hmm. And in another universe, during our same timeline right now, they would have flying cars already, maybe, because that person that needed to make it was born.
Yeah.
It's kind of like crazy to think about. Maybe
It's
right now in another timeline, there's still dinosaurs. No, I'm kidding.
maybe maybe the asteroid never
Never hit the
or
Earth.
comet. Yeah. Also, like it's not even the biggest, largest things that we think about. It's like the simplest, smallest things like this conversation right now. Whoever is listening to this right now, whatever brought you to listen to our voices, like it's one in so many chances because you're on YouTube. YouTube is so vast. There's so many videos. What are the chances you are what you are listening to our voices right now?
Mm-hmm. I know. And in another universe, you wouldn't even have discovered us, and that would have been such a lost one to have.
Yeah, boo. It's just, I guess that's kind of like, it makes me scared sometimes, like just knowing everything is kind of chance and a gamble, but also that's what makes life so exciting.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you can't regret your decisions because I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yellow girl. She's nice with it. Anyways,
Anyways,
how do we tie this back to evolution again?
it's okay. We don't have to.
I, I feel like if I think about this a little more, I could make some sort of connection. I guess it's just like evolution is just a product of choice,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not the chooser, it's the world, like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
or
your
God,
environment. Yeah.
or whoever, or whatever it is. But just, hmm, who chooses it?
I don't, yeah, it's just such, I don't think there's really a chooser. I think it's kind of just it's like when you drop a tablet into water. Once you drop it in, it's going to dissolve, like whether you do anything about it or not. So it's just kind of one of those things that you introduce it. I don't know. And then it just resolves itself, you know?
Yeah,
If that
yeah,
makes sense. Like no one
definitely.
is conscious that they are contributing, or like us humans are, we are not contributing to evolution, we're stopping it. Okay, I just realized that we aren't evolving.
Yeah, we aren't. I mean,
Which is a good thing, because a lot of people would die if we were not
yeah.
encouraging that.
So that's why we have medicine. I mean, imagine if we didn't have medicine during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be such
Or
a,
masks.
yeah, it'd be like a, I don't know what it's called, like a large step in evolution. If like humans just did
Yeah.
nothing about helping to save each other.
Mhm. But it would just be so um bad. It would just a lot of death.
Yeah. And I think there is, I mean, it's not evolution, but it's just like choices that people do make. Like smart people will make and bad people, like people maybe not, I'm not gonna say not smart, but it's just like choices that different people make that will put them into the likelihood of being able to survive, like being able to live a longer time. Trying to make it not sound inhumane, but like people who decide to start smoking
Mm-hmm.
and like stuff like that. That's like, I guess it's not evolution, but like by the way we're using this term evolution could describe that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, like, if someone didn't want to uh die of heart disease, so they choose to live with a healthier lifestyle and they eat better, and then their children also follow that lifestyle, and then in turn these people survive and live longer, and in turn more people will do
Yeah.
that.
So kind of like, I mean, I guess this could go for many things. Oh, but this kind of sounds really bad. Now it sounds like, you know, that thing we learned, Darwinism.
Yeah, I was about to say, so Hitler actually was really bought into like social Darwinism and stuff. So evolution can lead to such bad. It is just really scary if it's um,
Like,
artificially
yeah.
placed, put into place.
So, like, if evolution is left to its own devices, it's kind of like, mm, I guess what I'm
It's cruel
trying,
either way. Like
yeah,
it's yeah, it's really like I said, those tadpoles that had to
yeah.
die for the other tadpoles to make it.
There's no chooser.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but it kind of does play out in society, I guess, but not like evolution, but like the rich people
Mm-hmm.
will obviously become richer. Their children will live better lives. They too have a better chance at becoming rich. I guess that's just like social, what's it called? Like social
Standing, social nepotism.
uh, mobility.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just like those with advantages just continue, and
Mm-hmm.
those who don't have them. So I guess we're using evolution in a very unique way, not
Mm-hmm.
not evo-
Yeah, I wouldn't call this evolution,
this is
but
definitely not. It's just like, I guess, uh
it's just
those,
the um the way you are, your characteristics will determine how successful you are, or your descendants are, I guess. So I guess it's like similar, but the thing is, I get the difference of what you were trying to, I think you're trying to say about the social thing is evolution doesn't work over one lifetime. It's, over multiple lifetimes, but your choice can change your lifetime.
Yeah, make good choices,
Yeah.
kids.
And don't practice human evolution because that would be really bad. We are not encouraging that. We are just talking about how cool it is when it's applied to like artificial intelligence, but also how scary that can be because one of artificial intelligence evolves into something that we can't control anymore.
Maybe
And
that's how we evolve.
yeah, maybe.
So, could humans evolve? Like, if humans could evolve to the next species, what would it be?
I see what you're saying. I don't think it's evolve anymore. Maybe progress.
But,
Because
like,
if we
what
were
if
okay,
humans
evolve,
could evolve?
we could if we decided to just give up on all of the medicine, the air conditioning, the whatever we have right now, and just solely let nature. I think what we're trying, okay, evolution is when we solely let nature determine what the outcome will be so that it survives, if that makes sense. But we're not doing that anymore. I
But
think we're trying to
if that
prove.
were to happen, like, if what if one day just like only people were left on an island and everybody else like for some reason died? Like, could they evolve?
I feel like they would all die.
Yeah,
Like you
that's true.
for every like successful frog that you see, like millions of tadpoles had to die to get to that frog. So it would take a long
Really
time.
love frogs.
I just don't know why tadpoles just stand out to me when I think about evolution. I don't like frogs. I mean, I don't hate them, but I don't like them. They're just, the first example I could think of.
They're just frogs.
They're just frogs. They just be frogs.
But what if like, hmm, what if humans did create, just let computers continue to adjust itself so that it could, and then the goal that was set was to kind of outperform humans? What would that look like?
I mean, if you give a robot a human brain, it already will outperform humans because physically it can't die. I think humans are trying to progress in a way that to prevent as much death as possible, which is the opposite of evolution because evolution works through death and reproduction and the balance of the two. So, anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, the robot. I think if humans wanted to progress as a robot, it'd have to be able to download itself into the robot.
Is data unlimited? Well, it wouldn't work though, right? Because data is not unlimited. Because
I don't know
isn't
about. I don't
data?
know if data. I don't know anything about data, so gotta enlighten me. I mean, I do know
Wait.
stuff about data, but like the cloud, your fascination with the cloud.
Okay, I one day I asked someone about the cloud because the cloud
Uh-huh.
is just crazy. Because when I think of the cloud, I literally think of a cloud. Maybe their branding is just so good that I think of clouds. But it's more than a cloud. It's somebody like somewhere in some location there is a giant computer thing that stores it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So data is not unlimited, or data.
Mm-hmm.
However you say it, I like to say data.
Right.
But
But
so we technically could not live
well, if they have
forever,
created
right?
computers with the capacity of human intelligence, then how could? Then I'm sure they would have found some way to house because the robot will be a computer. Um, So I see what you're saying. You're saying like once we are able to download ourselves, not every human will be able to become a robot.
Yeah, because there's limited storage, just like the
Yeah.
photos. Like you can only store so many memories. You
Mm-hmm.
can like you could continue living, but you'd have to lose storage as you continued.
Wow.
Wanted to maintain
That's
the
crazy.
same.
So then you wouldn't be able to remember a lot of your life.
So
Like,
you could, I mean, it'd be like living without living. Like there wouldn't be a purpose to living if you think about it.
exactly.
Like for a lot of people, their purpose is to like start a family or
Hmm.
change the world for the better. But what is there to change if everybody lives is
Hmm.
I mean, I guess you could try to change the world, like give people more storage, but you can't do that if you are
Hmm.
unless you are like creating more of those
That's
machine
why they would
thingies.
create a simulation. So they'd feel like they're helping a world, which is what we're living in. Because if you think about it, everything humans have done, which, obviously is the right decision, is to prevent death, right? Like
Yeah.
medicine, it's all to prevent death. But once we reach that pinnacle where we can download ourselves, and then there's no really point to living anymore. Like, because from our timeline, we are progressing to that point of where we have prevented all the death that we can, and our lives are perfect. But then suddenly our lives lose everything that makes them meaningful. So then they'd be like, what can we do to make our lives meaningful again? We'd create a simulation and, help, or maybe see how these people or how this simulation progresses until that point, and it just becomes this meta thing.
So everything just results in simulation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see like what would happen if once humanity has reached that end point in progressing, if that makes sense. I guess we could space travel.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess but hmm, like once you're stored, once you're downloaded, like there wouldn't be anything you would need to do. So you would just exist to exist, right?
Exactly. So that would that even be life anymore? So then, but you
No.
can't die. So technically, is that what a god is? And every simulation you see, that god is really just a creature, an organism that has reached its pinnacle of existence and is now existing for the sake of existing, doesn't have anything better to do with its time, so it's creating a simulation and designing its own world and to keep itself company. That's like
So
what I think is happening.
in this way we're using the term God, it'd be a creator, right?
Yeah, which in the Bible is what God is described as, right? The creator. I don't know.
I'm not well versed in the Bible.
Oh, me neither. I've read the first chapter.
But I guess mm, so in that way we're using that term God, then the current simulations we have, there are already many gods, right? Like we
Yeah,
already have simulations out there that do random stuff, but
yeah. I see what you're saying.
like
How do
what
we
do you need
define a simulation? Look, okay, I think the simulation that these gods are making are I don't know.
or what kind of
Okay, 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 hear
what
me
has
out.
to be your creation, you know?
Okay, so you know how these computers are humans technically, right? Every simulation is technically just a piece of data. It's like we're all programmed to think we're humans and we're programmed into this world. Does that make sense? So then
Yes, yes.
okay. So that's what it is. And so then the simulations we have here, it could just be, a thing that the creator programmed, or they're they want us to reach they're all conducting an experiment to see like if you reach the pinnacle of a species existence, like does this happen every time? I don't know, it's my theory is kind of undeveloped. I'm like,
We definitely need to mind map this out.
we do.
It's a lot to think about because there's just so many inner workings to life and what we like so many definitions we must
Set.
define or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, set, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mind-boggling.
It is. It really, maybe that means we're getting somewhere, because maybe we're breaking the system. Maybe they're realizing.
Oh my gosh, we need to talk to them. Look up and say hello.
Hello,
Hello.
are you out there? Take us out. I'm just kidding. Don't take us out. Simulation's okay.
Yeah. Or what if
Plus,
some,
if you no, sorry.
okay, I was just gonna say, like, what if some people are part of the simulation? There's some who are just normal.
Like, what do you mean?
Wait, I don't know, like, what if there's an extra sense we are missing that just only lets us kind of go so far? Like, our eyes let us see, our
Yeah,
nose lets us smell.
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
When you,
Probably.
yeah.
Probably why it's so hard for us to imagine this because we're missing something.
How
But
can we, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go.
I was just gonna say, how can we imagine something we never know existed? That's all.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Wait, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, if I feel like once humans reach that point where they can download themselves and they become whatever that thing is, I would make my own simulation too, and then they'd all make their own simulation and compare their simulations and be like, "Oh, mine was more successful than yours because I programmed this into this," and it would just be the only source of entertainment in their life, which
So
is
just before entertainment.
yeah, that's why I think I believe whatever the higher power is doing this for entertainment, not for because they care about the humans on the planet, you know. If that makes sense. That's my theory. But I don't want to tell people that their God doesn't care about them because that would be sad.
Yeah. But it's like also, I guess, if each person on this earth created their own simulation and became the gods of their own simulations, like we would
I
all be creating different, we would have different ways of going about it. Like you
mhm.
would do something very logical.
I think this is why the multiverse theory works because we'd all create a different type of universe, right? And that kind of, in a way, is multi-universe. And to us, again, like you're saying, we're missing something that makes it hard for us to process this. I think, but since we're all making different simulations, it would support the multiverse theory, and it would support that gods would care about us because even though we're doing this simulation thing for entertainment, I think you would come to care about your creations in the simulation, and you would want your simulation to be the most successful because what else, what is the point of your life as a downloaded computer than to make your own simulation the best simulation?
Or do we only care because that's just something that's programmed into us? Like
Yeah, I don't
caring
know.
is like such a human
Mm-hmm.
trait. Like
Yeah, it I think every organism to some extent has cared about something, not bacteria,
but
but
because they want to survive,
yeah.
right? So you
Yeah.
wouldn't need to have a simulation that works the best to survive, right? You would care out of a, like it'd be a human trait to care.
Yeah, or maybe caring is something that is what will make the simulation successful. Like you don't want us to just survive. Like if okay, let's just say I was one of these simulation gods and you were a simulation god, right? You want your simulation to have the I don't know what they think is the most successful, but maybe like one person would want their simulation to have the coolest animals or their simulation to have the coolest technology. And so that explains the multiverse theory because there would be different types of simulation creators who would want different things in their universe and they would make different decisions and thus you have this infinite array of different
So
types.
are you saying the creator would make these decisions for them, or
They would be able to program their simulation to act as like again, we can't really comprehend it because but they would program something like evolution. They'd be like, this world will be strictly controlled by evolution. Once they evolve into this creature, we'll be done. Or like in this our world, I feel like the creator was like, oh, well, I'll throw in evolution, but there will be a species, the humans, who will want to fight against evolution and kind of halt its presence, and then try and prevent it. And in the process of them preventing it, they will create cool technology, cool medicine. They'll learn about this and that and that. And that to me is like a successful simulation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What are the different options though? Like what else could,
I don't know.
like, that's
I
like
guess
all
we
we
never
know.
know. Yeah, exactly.
How would we know if this is all we've ever known? Sometimes I'm like, what if we live, like, what if this is all we know, but there's more to what we know and we're just not being told? Like, what if there's, we're just one part, like, the our solar system is just part of something larger, but and then like everybody else talked, but it just so happened that we were cut out of the system. Like, I don't know.
Of the okay. I know what you're saying. So the person who made the simulation created our universe, right? And they gave every other planet or like civilization this certain piece of information, but they didn't give it to us. So then everyone else in the universe knows about this except for us. Maybe that's why no aliens have contacted us, because they don't want to contact us.
Or maybe because we don't have that extra sense, but like they've already been here, but we don't have that extra sense that we can't see them. Because who says that they are like made of stuff we can
Oh, I
see,
see
you
what you're
know?
saying.
Like,
Uh-huh.
what if, I mean, I feel like I don't know enough about this, but does everything have to be made out of carbon or like include carbon or
No,
something?
definitely not.
Or,
Isn't there stuff called like antimatter? Okay. I saw this somewhere where it was like mathematically it's impossible for everything in the universe to be made out of matter. For some reason, I don't know why, I don't know that much, which means there has to be a percentage of the universe made out of antimatter, and maybe the creatures, but no one knows what antimatter is. They just don't know how to define the other substance that's not matter, so they call it antimatter. So maybe the creatures we're not seeing are made of antimatter, and they've already seen us, and but we just can't see them because we are made of matter.
wait, what even is matter though?
I don't know. I don't
Like,
know.
let me just look that up real quick.
It definitely matters. Uh-huh.
Matter definition.
I want to make one of those cool
Sorry
conspiracy.
about that.
That's okay. Those cool conspiracy videos, but I feel like we'd have to define so many things. I really give credit to people who make those videos, because you have to be so organized. You have to define this term and be super clear about it, you know?
Yeah. The noun is physical substance in general as distinct from mind and spirit. Wait, am I reading the right definition?
I mean, it sounds right to me. I've never heard a definition for matter where I was like, that is so matter, you know?
And wait, so there's three states of matter, right? That's what we learn in science.
Yeah.
There's solid, liquid, gas.
Technically, there's plasma too, but
Yeah.
there could be antimatter. And there could be so many states we don't know about for
So
antimatter.
matter is just the way atoms are,
Configured,
yeah,
I
configured,
guess.
right?
Yeah. I guess that's the most scientific way to put it. I think it's just everything we can see is what I think we
Yeah,
think matter
it's
is.
anything that has mass and takes up space by having volume.
Yeah. And if we can see it or feel it in some kind of way, then it's matter. But there's mathematically, it's impossible for the entire universe to be made out of matter. So there's a large percentage that's actually made of antimatter. And this goes along with what you were saying about how maybe we haven't seen other aliens is because they aren't necessarily made out of matter and they're made out of antimatter, which is why we can't see it, which would make sense, because how can we see something that's
Yeah,
not matter?
or or like maybe we're also missing that extra sense that would have given us the ability to,
To
like, we can't see radiation.
yeah.
Like, but aren't there animals that can?
Yeah,
So
probably.
I think, or there's birds that see extra colors, but we would never know because no
Yeah.
matter what color you think of, I've told you this many times, but
Uh-huh.
no matter what color you think of, it's already out there. You can't think of a new color, but somehow birds see other colors.
Mm-hmm. It's it's like you can't create a new you can't create a new sound of the alphabet. It's yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like we just can't. So our
Imagine.
minds really aren't the greatest, It could be
Mm-hmm.
better, could be greater, there could be more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That's a lot of thinking for today.
Yeah. Well, we'll let our viewers think about that too.
Yes.
Not fall asleep tonight. But we'll wrap up our episode today here. I hope everyone enjoyed this mind-boggling podcast.
Yeah. Should we end off with like a final question that people could like ponder? We've
Yeah.
had so many questions. What should it be?
I don't know. Um, do you, as a viewer, what kind of simulation would you make?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say too.
Okay, great.
Like, what simulation would you create, or would it even be different from what you're experiencing now, or can you not even think of one, or like just what would you do if you were God or
Exactly.
a God?
Do you not believe a simulation exists? Anyways, we'll let you think about that question.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to
Two
Two
yellow
Yo
girls.
Girls.